I think.
Yeah, it worked.
Going.
Heck yes. Now's the big question of like, did it work on all the different platforms though? We'll see in the comments, I guess, like what platforms we're actually live on.
Okay, I'm paying attention this time. We're live.
I don't know if I'm live on my stuff. I guess so. I don't know how any of this works. California sober, so they say. That's funny. Oh no, Mike, I can't hear you.
Well, it helps if I don't mute my mic on accident.
Well done.
Yeah. If it's not one thing.
Oh, we're not here to be technologically savvy. We're here to talk about the past, okay? We didn't have computers back then, everyone.
Oh, so it's really just on brand.
They're in store here with this group.
Like, that is the brand, right? Like we just sit here like, no, we're gonna come on a video and do all that kind of stuff in a minute. Just waiting for everyone to come in and hang out. But like stuff's gonna go wrong in these 2 minutes. We need them to fix it. I don't know.
Oh. All right. 5 seconds and we can get into it. Oh my God, we did it. Applause.
I love it.
That's too short of an applause. We did a really good job getting things up and running today. I don't know if you were.
I don't know what all this we is,
this,
white man. I didn't do anything. I showed up. You guys did everything. As per usual. I think I added like a couple of streaming platforms this week.
Well,
I made some stupid notes in our shared doc, and then I did my hair, and that was it.
You showed up looking great. It's the Incredible K here.
And the wonderful Mike Collins from Wandering Wolf. Everyone knows Mike. We got Sammy out there somewhere.
Because we've got a banger today. I think we've got an awesome show. I know we've got an awesome guest. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I've traveled all over South America with Will like a year or two ago. So we've got Will from Incredible History today. We're going to bring him on in just a second. But yeah, and you can't tell on the screen, but Will's a giant. Will is a giant, and he is a history buff. Like if you want to know something about ancient history, just talk to Will. But I'll let him get into all of that. We're going to plug the Scottsdale Quest for Ancient Civilizations coming up. It's behind us here. Here, I'll move our... to share. He's going to tell us some of that. And
Mike, we lost audio. We had our first technical glitch of the evening. While you put the banner up, we lost all audio.
Okay. Well, you got to see the thing. It's Quest for Ancient Civilizations in December 5th through the 7th. Will's going to be a speaker. And we're happy to have him on here. Was there anything else we're plugging before we bring him in and get to...
I think that was literally it. Oh, I think you wanted to talk. Actually, you have a Japan tour. I think that was the other thing. We're telling everyone to get tickets for the Scottsdale conference where you can hang out with everyone and have a really nice time. But yeah, the Japan tour. I don't think I even know about the Japan tour. That sounds like fun.
The Japan tour I'm not pushing yet.
Oh,
technically it's done.
Google Doc then, dude. Otherwise, I'm
I know. Say
it. It's on the Google Doc. I'll bring it up.
But in just a week or two, be launching the Japan tour. Yes, it's not a total secret, but that one's going to be great. We're doing a whole megalithic circuit between Tokyo all the way out to Osaka, and
cool.
seeing all the big major megalithic pieces, and then really fun nightlifes. And I have an add-on as well for that tour that I think people are going to love. But yeah, I'll be launching that in a week or two. So
okay, so we teased it. Sorry,
we teased it. Yeah, we teased it. You're gonna have to keep watching. Yeah,
you'll learn more the more you watch. But yeah, no, I think that was pretty much it. We'll chat again about the conference, I'm sure, throughout the show. But I think, yeah, the big thing we're very blessed and lucky to do this week is chat with Will. I'm excited. It's my first time meeting Will. And when we say giant, like how giant are we talking?
he's a big boy.
But you're a big dude.
No,
too.
he makes me look tiny. I posted a picture today hyping our tonight up, and you can see he's like.
No, that looked like he was standing behind you and above you.
No, he's right next to me.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? I've never asked him let's bring him in. I've never asked him if he played football or basketball. I think he plays basketball.
Well, how tall are you? We don't care about the work. How tall are you?
I believe I'm probably around 6'4.5", 6'5".
He's being humble. He's like 6'5". Easy.
That's amazing.
But I played basketball. Yeah, I played basketball back in college. I think I still am my high school's all-time leading scorer. I used to love basketball once upon a time ago. My assistant basketball coach, shout out to Jeff Mathias, he was my history teacher in high school, and he was great. He got me to love history. So
that's awesome. Wow. So this fascination. So you are Incredible History, right? Across all social media platforms. I'm sure pretty much everyone watching knows you, but we'll make sure we share all the links and everything's there. And it really is Incredible History, like the way that you do your job and the way you communicate it. So this sounds like a fascination that started in school. I love that. I love our lifers. I love our nerdy lifers. I'm also a nerdy lifer, so I feel it.
You know, I'm from Kansas, so I was telling somebody in a podcast recently that Kansas is right in the middle of the United States. So all stories before social media, before television, before widespread publications of newspapers, news would travel through Kansas. It would just, make its way through word of mouth. And so all kinds of stories from the American Southwest, where all the cowboys were, and going back to the East Coast, Kansas was the place it had to go through. So there's actually a lot of people from Kansas that are really into history. Kansas itself has amazing history. A lot of people don't know the Civil War started in Kansas 10 years before. 10 years before the Civil War technically started, there was something called Bleeding Kansas. Kansas and Missouri went to war, and it was brutal. It was really brutal. Kansas wasn't even a state yet. It was a territory. And we had this figure named John Brown, who would later get executed trying to do at Harper's Ferry. He was trying to take over a barracks and take over a bunch of ammunition and guns that belonged to the Southern Confederate forces. And he was an abolitionist. He didn't believe in slavery. And so Kansas has a big connection to New York. I'm from Syracuse, Kansas originally. Probably shouldn't have doxed myself like that too much, but I went to school in Manhattan, Kansas. There's an Kansas, Albert. We have this whole history of these names that come from New York, and it's because a lot of abolitionists moved to Kansas back before the Civil War to try to make sure that Kansas was going to stay a free state. So it's cool history called Bleeding Kansas if you want to look it up. So
that's freaking wild. I had no idea that was a thing. So wait, what cool? Why did it start? Can we get into? Is there
Yes. So Missouri was a slave state, and Kansas was not a state yet. It was a territory, but it was definitely about to be a state, and everyone knew it. And so whichever way Kansas flipped during this very critical time where slavery was just not very popular among the northern states, wherever Kansas flipped was going to have the majority of slave states or free states. I think it was I can't remember exactly the amount of states there were. But anyways, long story short, there's a whole history on different documents on which line above this is a free state and a slave state. But Kansas and Missouri basically started, and I say them, but really these posses went across the border and started burning each other's towns down, slaughtering men and their families in their beds while they were sleeping at night. Like, it is brutal. Like, it was on both sides. You know, I'm partial to the Kansas side, but I will admit John Brown, who's kind of a Kansas folklore hero, he was brutal, and he probably killed some innocent people. But war is brutal, you know. So check that out, Bleeding Kansas. It's a crazy story.
That is wild. Heck yeah. That's so cool. I had no idea.
The only thing that I knew about Kansas up until this point was that I hate driving through it.
Hey, the Flint Hills. Here's another thing for the audience to Google. Google the Flint Hills, and then Google Ireland. They look similar. There's
really?
Flint Hills during
all the roads go through like just the flattest land ever for hours, and if you're driving there at night, it's just like you just like zone out. You know, it's so hard to do trips through there at night. You know,
it's tough.
But yeah, I never knew any of that. That's well, how do you know all this, by the way? I know, but can you tell the audience?
Yeah. Well, I was a history teacher for 8 years before I started doing this full time. So, you know, when it comes to American history, I got basically the entire standards memorized. I don't want to say memorized, but like, you know, the surface level stuff, kind of the timeline. You know, I just taught it. I taught American history and even Kansas history. I taught American history for 8 of those years. All 8 of those years, I taught American history at different levels: 7th grade, 8th grade, high school. So, you know, all those standards, you know, I could write them down in order on what you're supposed to learn from August until May when you go to get out of school for the summer. So
what you're doing now seems like quite a natural progression from where you went from work into your passions and interests that are carrying over now, although you've just taken it from North America, it seems like, and moved your interest down into South America. I think as long as I've known you now, you've been just going at it down. It's all over South America. I was lucky enough to travel with Will. What was that? Is that like 2 years ago now?
Yeah, that's coming up on it's about a year and a half.
2 years. And we went all through Peru together, and you were still working at the time, but you've been making some really interesting discoveries, and touching on some really interesting topics. One of them that really piqued my interest that I was following, I think you got a bunch of play on this, was the, you know, looking into the Vikings in South America. And that was really interesting. You've done 2 videos on that, I think.
I have, and recently I think I started a members only channel on my YouTube, and I put one of them on there, and maybe one of them's public. But I have a lot of short form content on this as well. Basically, with this Vikings and Paraguay thing, I'd heard about these rumors of runic inscriptions in South America for a long time, but every time I try to look it up, I can never find any photos of this. And so there's a whole lore to it and backstory. It includes Nazis. It includes like anthropologists that had escaped the war because there were maybe Nazi sympathizers, and they went on the expedition and found these, and all this kind of just legend, really like a 70-year-old legend. And I went down there. I finally managed to find one kind of grainy photo of a picture of a runic inscription, and I was like, oh wow, maybe there is something. And I don't even remember how I did it, but I pinpointed where that might be. And it happened to be in like one of the most dangerous places in South America. Paraguay is actually a very safe country for the most part, but in the northeast part of Paraguay, near the Brazilian border where I went, it's controlled by a Marxist guerrilla group that actually kidnapped the former vice president of Paraguay like 4 years ago, and he's definitely dead. Like they haven't.
Wow.
4 years ago. Yeah,
not long ago. And so I was like, all right, well, that sounds fun.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I don't know what else to do. Like that sounds terrifying.
I was nervous, but so I kind of checked it out, and after talking to people, they're like, you'll be fine. Like just, you know, stick to the road and go to the national park.
They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, yeah, they're killing people, but you're good.
You'll be okay.
So I go down there, and also like, you know, it's politically motivated. You know, I I felt okay about it. So I rented a car in Asuncion, and I drove to Serra Cora National Park, and the place that's off limits where the guerrilla Marxist people have their compound or whatever. That's where I really wanted to go to that area, and I was in that area. It's really close, but they told me it's off limits. There's apparently more there, but I go there, I hire some guides that are working for the park at the time. I'm like, hey, just take me to some petroglyphs. If you know any petroglyphs that kind of look like this, showing them a picture of this grainy photo I have, that'd be cool. They're like, yeah, cool. We can show you some stuff. Thinking I'm probably going to strike out and just see some cool petroglyphs, because I love petroglyphs. Petroglyphs, for those that don't know, are ancient rock carvings. A pictograph is an ancient rock painting. So we go on this like hike through and you can see the video here. We go on this hike through the jungle. And part of this lore, what you're seeing here, is that there are also Viking megalithic walls out in the middle of the Amazonian jungle. And that is not in my humble opinion, spoiler alert, that is not a megalithic wall. That is a natural feature right there. And that
spoiler alert.
And that ruined all our fun.
And here's the runic inscription. We can pause it right there, actually. And so we're going up this hill, and all of a sudden I see it. I go, oh my gosh, that is the exact runic inscription I'm looking for. It was the exact grainy photo that I'd seen, like black and white photo that was maybe taken in the 60s or 70s. And sure enough, I know enough about runes to know that's definitely old world writing. That's not like just a similar symbol that Native Americans would have written. That's definitely old world writing. Whether it's old or not is the question. Did somebody come out here and mess around? Maybe an anthropologist or one of his, that I was telling you about earlier. So let's back up a little bit. Let's tell you the full story of Vikings of Paraguay. I don't know how much time, but there was
not all the time. This is cool as heck.
So there was an anthropologist named Jacques Mayhew that was a French anthropologist. And like I said earlier, I don't know if he was necessarily a Nazi collaborator, but was definitely a known, Nazi sympathizer. And after World War II, he and a lot of people went to South America. He started teaching in Buenos Aires, and he had heard about these rumors from another, I don't think he was first generation, but a German Paraguayan that had went on these expeditions and was finding these inscriptions that he thought looked runic. And so Jacques Mayhew has his own expedition and writes this book. There's two books. I think one of them is called The Viking King of Paraguay, and I think Jacques Mayhew's book was Vikings in Paraguay. Could be wrong on that title. It's been a while since I've done this. And in that book, he has all these drawings. He didn't really have photos. He had maybe some photos, but kind of drawings of what these look like. And he called them South American Futhark, kind of a play on of runic Futhark. And they were a little different, but similar. And so people have believed this for a long time. The first time I went to Paraguay, people were like, yeah, the Vikings made it here. Yep, they would just say that. They would just say that out loud. And so I got even more intrigued. And I love this stuff. I would love for there to be Vikings that made it to Paraguay, but I immediately my bullshit meters were going up.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we can cuss on here, but
Go for it.
And so I started to do what I do and just try to look at it from go on site and investigate. And when I found this, I took a picture of it. And part of that legend, just to rewind, is also that they found a megalithic wall and that it must have been the Viking king of Paraguay that built this wall. This is all in his book, an anthropologist's book. I also found that wall as well. And we'll get to the wall in just a second. But when I saw the runic inscription, I immediately uploaded online and was like, look what I found. And there was a gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, but somebody I associate with on Twitter that was like, hey, that says this. I'm pretty sure the translation is Sigthor Munk. Munk, M-U-N-K. And I started to do some digging. And in that book, Professor Mayhew's lead runologist, his name was Professor Munk. And I immediately thought what kind of coincidence could that be? That the man who was the lead runologist has the same name as what's on this wall written in Futhark. And so I contacted the world leading runologist, Professor Henrik Williams of Uppsala University in Sweden. And he's like, some of this is not legible, but you're right. The last line does say Munk. He confirmed the last line did say Munk. And so then we went and saw the wall, and the wall was really cool. I don't know if you have that video still, or I have this picture right here. I don't know if you can see, I put some photos in there, and there's one of the wall from the backside called Vikings supposed wall. I don't know if you can see that. And it is interesting. There's a lot of these geological features that just pop up kind of out of nowhere in the Saracora National Park. The front wall that we saw earlier is probably the best picture, but I didn't have a photo of that today. And to me, this is probably a process. I'm not a geologist, but I've learned enough about it, kind of going to the Sage Wall and different things like that and talking to geologists, called exhumation, where that stacking process can look like that after gradually being eroded away from soil that used to cover it. I don't know if that's the case here. And once one part of the layer is uncovered by soil, the erosion happens quicker, obviously, with that part of the rock. And so another 100, 200, 300,000 years goes by, and another chunk of soil goes down, and that part of the rock does it. And before long, it just starts toppling over, and you can see that there. And then also, if you just take a look at my drone shot, which is the full drone shot, it's clearly just one gigantic cerro. There's, in my opinion, there's no doubt about it. This wasn't a megalith, but it was the adventure of a lifetime. And I feel like I don't like to be the debunker guy. There's people are like, oh, I debunked this, I debunked that. But I actually put enough work into this one on ground that I kind of proudly tell people that I debunked the 70-year-old myth of Vikings in Paraguay. Now
that's so cool.
That being said, there is supposedly hundreds of others out there, and I've seen a few pictures. But the one I found said Munk on it, and the lead runologist of the expedition, who was out there in the field back in the 60s, his last name is Professor Munk. He's dead now, so he can't defend himself. So I don't want to give the guy too hard of a time. But yeah, that's the story of Vikings in Paraguay.
That's so cool.
That video got, the short video, the long form video didn't do well, but the short form video got millions of views across Facebook, and Paraguayans were arguing in the comments about whether that was actually debunked or not. It was a fun story. So
is this the book?
You're not going to find it on Amazon, but there is a PDF online. If you put Viking, it's in Spanish also. The title's in Spanish, so it's going to be tough to find. But
it's this. This is the
Jacques
guy.
Is the guy, and he did write some other things as well. Yeah.
Cool. That's wild. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a pretty loving debunk. That's a very Y-Files-esque debunk, where it's it's not done condescendingly. It's done with huge amounts of research and good vibes. And also, that's freaking wild that you went there and were on the ground. I also have my own conspiracy brain. As soon as any national park is oh, you can't go to that area, it's too dangerous, the Grand Canyon, I'm oh, because there's ancient Egyptian statues there that we know. So part of me is I don't know. I would love it. I would love it if it was true.
Same.
But I feel that's too much of a coincidence. That's almost like graffiti. That's modern rune graffiti. Basically what that guy did.
Also,
the Munk guy, potentially, maybe, allegedly.
Not to because once again, I'm not qualified, but to me, it's no brainer that is that megalithic wall, which is the wall he was talking about. I know that for a fact. I could go on a whole story about why I know that's the wall. But just the fact that he was telling people in his book that was like, he was saying it as a fact, basically, that was the megalithic wall. Like he was trying to sell books. Back then, you know, if you got buzz going, you could sell a book back then. You know, it's like everybody wasn't publishing books back then. So if you got some momentum, you could sell some books. And so, and like you said, the whole, you know, debunk with grace, that's the way to do it. Because here's the thing, I would love for that to be true. In fact, I think the Vikings probably did go to places that we would be blown away by. I'm not even saying the Vikings didn't make it to South America. They very well could have. But in this case, this is not evidence for that, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And I think, like, I mean, risking your life to go out there and do that research, you know, that in and of itself, I love that. I think that's like, what a cool life. Like to go from like teaching about this stuff to actually seeing it in person. And like it's also, you know, like going down the sort of ancient histories, ancient mysteries, conspiracy theories route. That's a freaking cool career, dude. And like the way that you present it, I mean, obviously you've got like your videos where it's you at these places, the sort of firsthand accounts, but I want to kind of move on to the more AI stuff that you're doing, because that is freaking revolutionary.
It's really cool.
It's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
What moved you sort of into that field?
Yeah. Well,
and what programs do you use? No,
I've always been I could tell you all that. So, you know, I love the on the ground stuff and I love the ancient mystery stuff, and I'm going to keep doing videos about that. But I've always been a storyteller and I've always been a reader of history, and I've always, for 3 years, on and off, I've been working on and then quitting a Spanish conquest of Mexico video, because it's the most epic, brutal story in the history of humanity. You know, I'm sure, I know there's other ones that are incredible, but we have a lot of documents, whether you think the conquistadors were lying or not, and they very well could have been exaggerating a lot. They're the primary source documents we have, just like any other part of history, right? Just like any other story, the Romans and their battles, the winners obviously always write the history books. That being said, they're the primary sources we have. And if you've ever read them, you know how wild that story is. And so in 2001, I went on a road trip to Mexico. I drove from Kansas down to Oaxaca and then through the Yucatan. And I was trying to like retrace the steps of the conquistadors.
You drove all the way through Mexico to Oaxaca?
Yes, and back.
That's insane.
I mean, that's an adventure in and of itself, right there.
It was wild. I got stories about that are non-history.
I love Oaxaca.
Me too.
It's great, but getting there is,
Oh yeah, especially as a gringo in Kansas, we don't have front license plates. In Mexico, you're supposed to have them. So I got pulled over like 12 times. But anyways.
Okay. You drove your personal car from Kansas all the way to Oaxaca, dude. Amazing. As soon as we met up in person, I was like, I like this guy. And then this is one of those reasons why.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go hang out like by this like Marxist sort of like these guys who were like kind of pro-Nazi. They hung out there back in the day. And I'm gonna go try to avoid the Marxists, hopefully not die. It's gonna be great. And then I'm just gonna like, you know, casually drop that we drove through. I mean, at that point it was, I mean, it's still the trampoline, right? Like when it like Mexico's always been that, you know, that sort of stopping point, except now all the drugs are coming in from China.
Well,
something just went bang outside.
Well, Michael,
like, just gonna like put myself in like, you know, a position of death just to like go see some cool stuff. I'm here for it. That's so cool.
I have some discernment. Like I don't stay out late. I don't party. Like I'm locked in over there. Like I've never been robbed. But
dude, the only times I've ever been robbed traveling has 3 times. They've all been in Mexico and they've all been by the police.
Yep. Okay, I take that back. I have been robbed by the police, and that's a different story that I don't want to talk about on this. But like that I do. I'll tell you. Maybe I'll tell that story someday.
There you
go.
go.
The AI thing. Whenever ChatGPT first came out, I was immediately on it. Whenever Midjourney came out, I was immediately on it. A lot of my photos in my book, embarrassingly, because this is the early days of AI, I was like, wow, I can use that to visualize. I can use that to visualize some of these concepts, and it's kind of dorky. It's not that great, but it was the early days of AI. And so it's gotten so much better since then. So I've been generating images. And, a lot of people say, oh, I don't like AI slop. I don't like AI slop. I kept seeing that with history videos that were kind of using AI. But I'm like, I don't know, maybe you don't like it, but a lot of people are watching these videos. And also, what's better, AI slop? And no offense to people that do this, I think they're great, but what's better, a little AI slop that can be slightly not accurate, but portrays a good visual, experience to keep you listening, versus a cartoonish 5th grade level animation on the, the fall of the Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. Those videos get like 5 million views.
Like what you're doing, the videos that you're dropping right now on that, they're engaging and entertaining, and the AI has caught up to a level where, it's not
like right there.
Yeah, and you're still voicing it over,
right?
So you're telling the story, like it's not AI writing,
no,
and just randomly generating a story. Like you're writing the story, narrating in it, and you're just using AI as a visual, which makes it really engaging.
To full transparency, I use AI to help. So what I do is I am a big believer, you have to know the ethos of the story. And the only way to do that is to actually do, like, you gotta read a book, right? Mm-hmm. Or listen to a book. I like audiobooks. And so I'll do that for 3 days. I will put 3 days aside as part of my process, and I take notes. And I put those notes through the AI for an outline, and then I write my video. So I do use AI for the outlining process because like, it helps keep me tight. Like otherwise I'll kind of start wandering off a little bit, and I like a tight script, but you got to know the ethos to tell the story. And so from there, I generate these images that are cinematic, and I've always had an eye for cinematic shots. Like I've been a video editor for a while. And the first time I started messing with it was I wanted to do some shots. I just go, let's see what happens when I do the massacre at Cholula. Cholula is in, Mike's been there before. It's in Puebla, Mexico. It's technically the largest pyramid in the world by volume, bigger than the pyramids in Egypt by volume. And it's this gigantic platform. And when the conquistadors got there, they were, according to them, they were not well received. And according to the conquistadors, they did a preemptive attack. But the winners write the history books. And at minimum, probably 10,000 people were slaughtered, not just by the conquistadors, but by their Tlaxcalan allies. And it is just one of the most brutal scenes. And I'm probably going to get canceled for saying this, and that's fine. I'm actually encouraging I want to get canceled.
Yeah, so. You're in good company. Trust us. Like, this is like the cancel fam. Like, yeah.
So despite how brutal it is, it's one of the most cinematic scenes in history. Hernan Cortez gets up. He's got them trapped. They don't know it yet because he thinks that he's got word that they're going to attack him and his people. So he tells his Tlaxcalan allies, when you hear the signal, come in and charge. And he gathers all the Cholulans and their priests in the square, and he lectures them about the sins that they've committed against his king and their God. And for all these sins, you must die. And like at that moment, when he tells them, like, you must die, like I think a cannon fires off, and then just like the Tlaxcalans come in and slaughter everybody. Like it's like the most brutal scene in history. And I was like, I want to see if I can depict that scene. And I started messing with it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe it can do this. And then I started tweaking it a little more and realized I can get the image even better if I use ChatGPT to help really understand what I want to tell mid-journey. And in the end, I created this 33-minute video on the Spanish versus Aztec, like uncensored. And I just tell the most brutal histories of it that they didn't teach you in school. And yeah, it's got 400, that view count right there is not updated, but it's like 450,000 views right now. I just released the Spanish versus Inca, what they didn't teach you in school. And within 2 or 3 days, I'm releasing the uncensored story of Christopher Columbus's 4 voyages. I was kind of hoping to get that out yesterday on Columbus Day, but that'll probably be out on Friday.
Well, we'll definitely keep plugging it. This is incredible stuff. Well, like this is I mean, we all know that this is like the future of entertainment. Like, I don't know anyone in this field that isn't doing it. I mean, this is a standard unto itself, but like, I mean, it was AJ at the Y-Files who introduced me to Claude. Like, I was vehemently AI. You can go back and read my stuff at the Daily Caller. I was like, AI is going to kill us all. Still kind of believe that. But
me too.
My husband was like, let's be an early adopter. And it served us very well in all of our pursuits. But this is standard setting right here. And I'm not just trying to like blow smoke up your ass. I'm really not that nice of a person. Like, this is genuinely incredible stuff. And I think that if history was taught the way that you're teaching it here, the way that Mike teaches it, by actually going out and going to the places and showing people what it's actually like that, and I guess as you've done too, like, I think a lot more people would have a much healthier respect for it. Because I had a great history teacher. We did American history actually when I was in school, which was weird. I guess we did a lot of British history, but there's like 10 things they teach us, and then you just like move on. It's like Celts, Romans, Great Fire of London, Queen Victoria, and that's about it. Henry VIII as well, and Shakespeare. And then they sweep everything else under the rug. But the way that we learned about American history was numbing, I think, honestly. And I think if it had been taught with this kind of like vigor, I mean, yeah, I think it's like, I think this is going to be, standard setting for the industry. Actually, it's going to be hard to top that. And especially since like it's a real person behind it. 'Cause I hate when you turn on those, like, I love my conspiracy videos as well. I hate when you go on YouTube and you put on the conspiracy video and it's so clearly written by AI and it's an AI voice. And I just go straight to it. It just sounds like some bot farm out of China that's just like fusion.
So horrible.
I'm like, no.
I'll watch these. I'll put on like these. There's channels that do like sci-fi or fantasy stories.
Yeah.
And they'll read it with images. And I'll put that on at night sometimes when I'm chilling or like in bed or whatever as I'm going to bed. But there's all these other channels started popping up that are just AI. And you get 5 minutes in and it's already repeated thoughts and ideas. And it's like circular.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell. And I can't deal with it. I have to turn it off immediately. It's not calming. It's the opposite of calming. And, but what you're doing with all these videos, I really like, because it still has your passion and humanity in it. You're using the images to enhance the story that you're telling it. You're not basing all of the content on the AI. The AI is there as a supplement to your work and your study. And that's the difference, I think. This is why, because as soon as I engage it, I don't usually watch AI stuff, but you're my friend. As soon as it came up, I'm watching the video, and immediately I was like, oh, this is
straight
different.
Yeah.
It's the voiceover for me, I think, because it's still your voice and your work and your study. And that's what it is. It's the AI is, like I said, it's an enhancement to it.
Do you know what it reminded me of, actually, the first time I went and saw it? I don't know if you guys have ever watched The Chosen, but sort of like the earlier episodes, you can tell like, okay, they've got the budget to build a set, but we're not going to see beyond that set. You're not going to see B-roll of Capernaum. You're not going to see B-roll of Jerusalem. And then the most recent season, like there's one scene where they do, Jesus has left Jerusalem. He's sitting on the Mount of Olives. And it's like, I think it's Matthew 24, where he basically does revelations, but like ahead of time, which I actually prefer that prediction to revelate. That's just me. Right. I'm like a cussing Christian, so people can call me out for this shit, you know.
I'm a sinner.
I think it's all of us here. Me and Will are out here. So,
But he's sitting there and he's surrounded by the disciples, and he looks out across Jerusalem. And I was like, wow, okay, that's like obviously AI, or back in the day would have been CGI. But why would you use CGI these days when you've got AI? And it was so well done. And like our landlord left a massive TV for us, which is great. So I just like felt like I was there sitting with him. And when I went back, I think it was like literally the next day, we knew you were coming on the stream. So I was like, I need to go back and watch like a bunch of your videos. And I was like, dude, this is reminding me of like, it's that good of visuals. It's reminding me of that scene in The Chosen. Like I felt like I was there. And like, I'm pregnant right now. So some of the more like brutal scenes, I was like, can't do that. Can't do that with these hormones. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they're taking off. And but like, okay, so you said that you were gonna get like canceled for stuff, but I feel like everyone on our side of the field gets called out for something at some point. So
which by the way, if I can interject here, you've already dealt with this before.
Oh yeah.
So Will did on that, and I was lucky enough to be down there when you were really digging into the Nazca Mummies. So I'm going to shift gears here a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But several years ago, when the Nazca Mummies were getting all of this attention and everywhere, you had this basically private and front row access to all the people that were right in the middle of all this, and your work on it really put you in the public eye in a way that was not fun.
Yeah. For a minute, and still to this day, I'll tell you a little bit about that. Now, I'm luckily I'm no longer the Nazca Mummies guy that belongs to Jesse Michaels now, who is a cool guy. He has an awesome documentary called I can't remember what his documentary is called, but Jesse Michaels went down there and did a deep dive. So go check that out. But Mike was down there when I was interviewing Jaime Maussan on my bed. Yeah. I was on Zoom. Jaime Maussan is a famous UFOologist from Mexico City.
Oh, that was when I was in the other room. Yeah, you were like, "Hey, I got to do this interview."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the main character. He's the one that took the mummies, the small mummies, and presented them to the Mexican Congress.
And this was in Peru. Okay, we were down in Peru.
Yeah.
Oh, I covered this for Daily Caller, and I'm now realizing that as you're explaining it, and I'm terrified I'm going to have to go back and look at what I wrote. So sorry.
Oh, no, don't worry. I'm the one that's. I've been at it for 2 years, and I haven't ever came to a conclusion on what I believe. It's such a weird story. So we can get into that if you want.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's so wild.
Before we do, thanks for all the compliments on the AI videos. And you said, what am I getting canceled for? In particular, on the Spanish conquistadors video, I'm getting canceled by two sides right now. One of those sides is the Spanish maximalists that believe that Anglo-Saxons are out to, poo-poo the name of the conquistadors, which is not what I was trying to do. If anything, I have, I don't want to say I have a sympathy for the conquistadors, but like, you cannot tell me those men were not, I don't know if brave's the right word, courageous. They had balls, right? Yeah. Hernan Cortez himself almost died like 7 times. And each time he'd get better from the fever or whatever. He'd go, all right, onward. And like, it was just like, crazy. And then on the other side, you have the side that believes that the Aztec were living in peace and human sacrifices were not real. The conquistadors made that all up. So I have two sides chirping at me, which tells me I hope that I'm on, and it doesn't even matter if I'm on the mummies or on the money, because I preface the video with, this is the words of the men who participated. This is their chronicles. Maybe they're lying, but this is what they wrote. So the mummies, I had a similar thing happen with, kind of going there objectively, telling the genuine anomalies that exist with these things that the mainstream was not telling you about. There are unexplained things that all the scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all those dudes that were laughing at these have never, ever addressed. But on the flip side of that, there is that all the people that 100% believe they're real, 100%, there are some, let's just call it, there's some shenanigans and also a very dark world involved with this.
Well, UFOlogy, I feel like, is one of those where I don't want to get like in trouble. It's like, this is the thing. I'm not trying to like self-censor, but I've had people I know who were, I think, and tell me if I'm speaking out of turn, like us, in that there was a genuine interest that when they got close enough, it was you either do what we say or else, essentially. And then that's where things get.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline at some point and decide what we're happy saying publicly, maybe.
Regardless of what the truth is on these things, whether they're real or fake, I 100% believe that there are spooks and feds all over this thing now, because at this point, it's such a big enough story that even if they didn't start it, even if they didn't begin it, like there's some spooky stuff. But but regardless of whether there's spooky stuff or not, there's a mafia down there in Peru that sells antiquities and fake things for a living. And Mike and me went and visited a couple interesting. This doesn't have to do with the mafia, but Peru has a history. First of all, Peru has an incredible history, a wonderful history of amazing things, but also in the last 200 years, it has a history of faking artifacts for profit. And I'm not saying the whole country, but I'm saying individuals, huaqueros, grave robbers, right? And so the whole thing with the Nazca Mummies, I say there's three, and for those that don't know what the Nazca Mummies are, it's these three-fingered beings. You've probably seen them, in the tabloids and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And there are these mummified corpses, and some
Sammy,
of them.
Can you bring up images of that while we're talking?
Some of them might be, some people say they might be animal bones, but there's some that are genuine. Like you can see in the top left, that is Maria. That is a humanoid corpse. There's no animal bones in there. If that is fake, they faked it with a human corpse. They've done scans of these. And the scans reveal some interesting things. Maria, that one in particular, has an extra vertebrae that most humans don't have. Also,
most humans or all humans? Most.
It occasionally happens. There's anomalies that happen with the vertebrae. So I don't want to say all, but most.
All right.
Now, so you all just want me to stop it with the preface and just give you top 3 red flags and top 3.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Like, what are the things that Neil deGrasse Tyson's not addressing? Like, what's the stuff that's being hidden from like idiots like me who used to work in mainstream news media?
So I don't know if it's being hidden as much anymore, because Jesse Michaels has done a good job of putting this in the light. But I'll give you 3 things that are hard to explain and 3 red flags. 3 things that are hard to explain. I told you one, Maria has an extra vertebrae. And then also when you're looking at the scans, it's kind of like, well, where's the manipulation? And we can talk about that with the red flags as well. Maria also has this very large protruding eyes and an elongated skull, which is not uncommon down there. There's elongated skulls, but her face is abnormal, kind of abnormal. She has a protruding jaw. The biggest hard to explain anomaly for me, though, is it's these little ones, which I tried to stay away from because they just look fake, right? Because our eyes aren't used to that. One of them, a doctor, Zuniga, a doctor I talked to down there, he explained to me that one of them, or many of them actually, have these metal rods, in particular one, and I believe Alberto is the name of this mummy, this metal rod in his chest. And on that metal rod is fused tissue from a process called osseointegration. And dentists out there that are watching this will know what osseointegration is. When you get some type of like implant in your mouth or, a bridge or whatever.
That straight up looks like ET.
Yes. After about 6 months, the tissue will fuse to the bone. Well, they're seeing that, according to the doctors, this hasn't been peer reviewed, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm just telling you what the doctor told me, that many of these have osseointegration in their chest, meaning that would have had to be done while it was alive.
Ooh.
Something died. can't, if something dies, you can't put, a metal implant on their leg and then it's going to fuse. It's dead. There's no cellular integration. So that to me was like, whoa. And he showed me pictures of this. He did a surgery on it and he showed me pictures, and sure enough, it looks like there's tissue fused to the actual bone. And I have a documentary called Show Me the Mummies where I show that full interview with him.
Dude, shut up. Your documentary is called Show Me the Mummies?
Yeah, it's my first one. The one that you saw me film.
Genius.
And then my most recent video is, top 3 red flags, top 3 hard to explain anomalies.
Yeah.
So that's 2 right there. And then really that's 3. So I gave you 2 kind of anomalies there, but I meant to give you 3, but it's kind of 3 all into together. And I know.
Sorry, do you mind if I jump in and just ask? So with was it osseointegration?
Yes.
So I'm guessing, like, obviously it has to be done on a living being, and then that being has to stay alive for that process to occur. It was like when people would get like with trepanning, when they drill the head and then you'd see the bone had grown back after like a while.
And some of these have that trepanation. They have that, and they have some of these mummies. Montserrat, if you Google mummy Montserrat, Peru, you'll see Montserrat has a trepanated hole that's covered by gold. I believe it's like a gold metallic thing, and they are saying that that's osseointegrated. And so
wild.
Yes, that one right there. This is my new favorite one because
wow.
Oh yeah, here's anomaly number 3. So this is my favorite one. You want to know why this is my favorite one? This one has a fetus inside of it.
No.
What?
And the proponents are saying, and I've seen the image, and I've asked the doctors. I'm in contact with the American scientists. We can talk about them in a second. The image is showing that the fetus has 3 fingers. I was wondering if maybe someone took the liberty to kind of just, it's hard to, I've looked at the images of the fetus a bunch of times and I can never make out 3 fingers. And the one that I showed, if you go to my Instagram and if we want to watch like a minute, 30 seconds actually of like my most popular video I've ever done on this, it's a minute, 30 seconds long on my Instagram. You can see the actual photo of that. And maybe we should just watch that real quick.
Yeah, let's do it. I will wait for Sammy.
It's probably got 6 million views on all platforms combined.
That's
video.
insane.
So,
and by the way, dude, I noticed because I looked yesterday, you've blown up. Dude, it made me so happy that you just doubled in your YouTube subscriber in like the last month or 2.
Yeah, I did.
I'm like,
yeah. Can you remind me what your handle is?
At incredhistory. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, I put that. I just spelled it wrong. Okay, here we go.
I was so happy to see that, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Mike. You've always been my biggest supporter.
It's a hockey stick.
The alien community really came after you, man. And I know that you still had your job and stuff. And then when I heard you just went full in on this, I was just like, hell yeah. And clearly it's paying off. I couldn't think of anybody that deserves a bigger following.
We found it. The We Found It one. Sorry about that, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Wait, so I want to just get back to let's watch this video first, actually.
Became visibly emotional when he saw it. A 3-fingered being chiseled into the rock thousands of years ago. When I visited Maria, I saw no apparent signs of manipulation on the hands or the feet. One of the mummies has a fetus inside, and rumors are starting to spread that the images are showing the fetus to also have 3 fingers. I contacted the lawyer of the American scientists, Josh McDowell, who told me that the current imaging isn't good enough to say either way whether or not the fetus has 3 fingers. Some notable oddities regarding the mummies. Maria has 32 vertebrae, while most humans have 33. Not an impossible anomaly, but still notable. Maria has abnormally large eye sockets and a protruding mouth. Dr. Zuniga told me that the metal implants had organic tissue fused to them, indicating that they were alive whenever these were placed. This is a process called osseointegration, and it takes about half a year to fully complete. If these are fake, then this would be one of the greatest hoaxes of all time. If they're real, this would be one of the greatest discoveries of all time. I'm an independent journalist that chases down incredible stories from our past. Please give me a follow. There it was. Edward
first of all, Mike was with me on that petroglyph hunt right there, and Nikiana Jones and Joaquin, Nikiana, not Nikiana, but Nikiana Jones, the YouTube channel. And that thing has pictures. It was a heck of a hike, and we searched for it for about 2 hours before we found it. But
that's
now,
so cool.
Like I said, that image right there on the screen, did they cherry pick that and kind of highlight what they wanted to highlight? It looks real to me. So I asked the American scientists, the best forensic scientists in the world are actually technically looking into this right now, like legit forensic scientists. And they said, can't tell either way. We need better imaging. Now let's talk about some red flags. Red flag number one, where are they finding these things? An archaeology site should be like a crime site. Like if you can show where these are found, a lot of answers can probably be figured out really quick. But the person that found these is a vaquero, a criminal, right? That supposedly found these. And that's another story that I don't even know. I don't even think he's the one that found them, but that's a whole nother thing. I don't want to get in trouble with the Ica mafia. And then here's the red flag number two. I've been seeing these images of giant heads surface, like giant heads that are being manufactured by like the same people down there that are supposedly finding these. And I don't know if they're being manufactured. I think they're being manufactured, but there are giant heads, pictures of giant heads down there. And I'm like, why aren't we scanning those? If that's truly what we're seeing on the surface, I don't have to be a biologist to tell you that if you do a scan of that and it checks out that that's a new species. And I think the reason is because it's fake. Those giant heads are fake. Every time I ask people, well, let's scan those heads, they go, oh, well, they got sold in the black market. They're not really around anymore. Okay. Kind of convenient. Right? Yeah. And then the third red flag is there is one doctor, and I've been in contact with him. His name's escaping me, but he was a bioanthropologist, and he believes he sees manipulation on the hands, in particular the thumbs. But does that mean they were manipulated recently? What if this was some weird, ancient, ritualistic, like occult practice that they were doing, right? Like, it is hard to think that some vaquero has the skills to do this.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the stones out there seems like a much more generally, if the I can't remember what they're called, but the carvings on the stones
with the dinosaurs.
So that's way easier, way less time consuming. You can sell it on the black market to travelers like us that were passing through without catching a ton of attention, right?
Right.
But I don't know, maybe somebody wanted to go big.
Well, there's rumors that Russian oligarchs have bought these for $1 million. So that's the other red flag. Some people say it's a green flag. Like, why would they buy it if they were fake? Well, why do rich people, rich people can get duped too, right? And even if some people are so rich that they just think it's like, whoa, this thing's freaky, cool. This is crazy. I don't care if it's fake or not. I'll buy it. This is amazing. Like, and so, money has been made on these by people that are like, criminals. So
it's mostly the smaller, like straight ones too that are being sold, right? Like these guys.
There were several big ones that were sold and I believe given back. I believe that they basically were asked to give them back. I don't know the full details on that, but yeah.
So
I was just gonna say these are like the ones that are in the more like fetal position, like those seem to be more legit than these ones, right?
Totally, but it's the little ones with the osseointegration that was
No way, really?
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Wait, so how big are those little ones? So we're talking
they're
about
really little.
Yeah.
So that they couldn't be human then.
No.
Yeah.
No. Now, also another red flag is some of the little ones, they did get caught with some fake ones in the airport. It's a whole story. They got caught with some fake ones in the airport and they said, well, these are just souvenirs that we're selling in Mexico. And it's like, okay. But some of them, you know, had the back of a llama skull had maybe been manipulated. And it's like, you know, there's just so much stuff like that you can't forget about when you're getting excited about this. There's been a couple times where I'm like, listen, like the big ones seem to be real, but then I see a picture of a giant head and I'm like, what? You know, there's so much crap involved with this. And maybe it's not even crap. Maybe this is some ancient thing they were doing, right? Like, but this is why I got canceled, because I honestly wasn't fit for the job. I am a fence sitter on this one. So I pissed off both sides on this one. I just happened to be down in Peru with an iPhone and a drone, and Mike with some amazing moral support. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to make some content on this. And it got out of control. So
that's really wild. Well, I think it's also like, and guys, tell me if I'm wrong. I should probably look it up just to, before I even get into it, just to get my facts straight. But, you know, the UFOlogy world, there's one story that I've ever read, and I had to read loads of them, right? When I was like writing for the Y-Files, even like to this day, I'll dig into them. The only one I've ever read that has come close to resonating with me was this guy called Charles Hall, who claimed that he met, quote, tall whites when he was working, I think it was Nellis, I want to say. But when you get into basically everyone outside of Charles Hall and his story, it's all, was this Atlantis like paper mache? They do look like paper mache, some of those. But when you get into basically every other story outside of this, you really start to delve into the misinformation campaigns and the lost Pelacars, the face peelers. Like that disinformation campaign, same sort of part of the world. We, you know, the sort of debunk, or like the gracious debunk on that, or the theory, I guess, is like that was special ops. That was them testing out some, you know, someone testing out some new kind of gear. I live near an Air Force base. We see weird stuff all the time. I just assume it's those guys testing things.
Well, but unfortunately, I think some of those face pillars were actual bodies, though. So if they were testing them, it was, you know, they killed somebody.
Yeah, they killed people, and they nearly killed one young girl, which is like, again, it's like same region of the world, doesn't have to necessarily be related. But if you want to start an alien misinformation campaign, you kind of have to go all in. But there's always the caveat that, at least for me, there's always going to be an ounce of truth in the underlying story. And I don't know, I'm kind of, I guess like we're all, I don't know, Mike, where you kind of sit on this, but I'm going to remain open on it. I've seen stuff that I can't explain, but I've also seen people testify in front of Congress and gone, you're full of shit.
Right. So if you put a like gun to my head, like, are these real or fake? I think I would probably have to say fake. And I don't mean fake. Maybe that means they're ancient manipulation, or maybe 90% of them are fake and 10% of them are something weird that we still don't know. And I know that's a cop out. You said that you'd only heard one kind of story that kind of made you like captivated, right? I got one more for you, and I don't mean to talk UFOs, but one of my early documentaries I made was titled "Kansas Boy is Paralyzed by a UFO."
Ooh.
And it's on my YouTube channel if you scroll all the way down. And I interviewed Ronnie Johnson, who is now not a boy. When in 1971, he was 15 years old. And something 100% happened to him. 100% something happened to him. There's evidence of it. So long story short, he was out feeding his sheep and pigs, and he heard something, and he came out, and there was a bright light, and what he said was a mushroom-shaped, like glowing disc, and it paralyzed him temporarily and his sheep. He doesn't know how long he was in this state, and then it went away, and it left this radioactive circle that was glowing, and for 20 years, this thing remained this circle until he finally buried it because people kept trespassing. And his mom lost all feeling in her hands whenever she touched it because it was so radioactive. And I actually took a sample of that dirt. They had a sample of it in the museum. I sprinkled water on the dirt, and it immediately repelled it. 50 years later, right here. It's a crazy story. I got 5,000 views on this thing. This is my favorite thing I've ever done, probably. It's
This is wild.
Hilarious. The things you love to do end up not really getting much views. But this is his testimony that he gave to me. He didn't know I was coming. I went and knocked on his door cold. He'd never given an interview about it, except for kind of once with the Discovery Channel that came out and talked to him. And he gave me his testimony. And Ronnie Johnson, anyone that has been to like small town Kansas or Midwest, there's a certain type of person that's not capable of lying. Like they're so innocent and so pure, and Ronnie is one of those people. He's not lying. Something happened. Now, was it a government psyop? Fort Riley isn't it right there? Fort Riley Air Force Base is right next door to this. Did something weird happen like that? And there you can see it's just suspended. And
have you seen that show Outer Range? I think it's called.
Yeah.
Where they find this big circle hole in the ground out in the middle of their land.
And Ronnie gave me an exclusive tell that he never told anyone anymore because he doesn't like the story. He suffered a lot from this. He told me that it kept coming back, and that at one point he found an even bigger circle out in his sheep pasture. There was radioactive mushrooms growing from the circle. And he gave me he didn't give it to me, but he showed me the mushroom. And I was kind of like, dude, I want to be touching that if I were you. There's the circle 20 years after it happened. 15 years probably after it happened.
That's wild.
Kansas State came out and tested the pH on it. The National Enquirer, the biggest magazine at the time, gave his family $10,000 for winning the prize of the best scientific proof of a UFO. And they had a panel of scientists judge all these stories, and his family won because they had evidence, there was a glowing circle. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's amazing. I want to clarify. I also think that the moon is hollow. I'm not a non-believer.
Totally.
It's just Charles Hall's the only guy in that kind of world where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm all in. But this is I also live in the rural South, and I get what you mean. There are certain people who, when they tell you stories like this, and especially with this this amount of evidence, that's freaking wild. That's so cool. And you obviously have a lot of discernment when it comes to this stuff. That gut instinct is everything. I think that's why so many people in this field have done so well. I even look at Graham Hancock as someone with just great gut instinct. He just knows. But there's certain people, sort of going back to it, where they don't have any reason to make this up.
No, especially him. He wants it to go away. He told me it ruined his life. That was a quote from Ronnie Johnson.
Really?
Ruined his life. I think he was getting bullied. They called him UFO boy. He had weird stuff happen, I think, psychologically after this. He had dreams and premonitions of it coming back, and then all of a sudden it would come back. Apparently it harassed the family for years. It kept coming back, weird stuff.
This reminds me of Chris Bledsoe's story a little bit.
Also, sorry to interrupt, there was a sheriff that saw the UFO take off. A sheriff deputy.
Oh.
He wasn't the only one that saw it. So,
oh wow,
yeah, Chris Bledsoe. I've heard that story before too. That's
yeah.
So,
well, I don't think we're alone. I like Tim Bichette on Tucker this week. I'm biased anyway when it comes to Tim Bichette. I wish he was. I call him politics dad.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And again, just sort of
on this topic, I don't really know his positions on some other stuff, but UFOs, he's trying to get it right.
Yeah, and it's it's one of those where it partly breaks my heart because when you go back and look at the history of this subject matter, even going all the way back to the 40s, every politician who gets involved in this, to a certain degree, I can't remember the name of the guy who's Stephen Greer, who's a big name in the UFO community. Everyone, I can't remember who it was that he was really involved with, but just kind of faded. And it's one of those that they kind of
you know, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, if you go too hard on it, you will see your career die unless you toe the line. Whereas the way that Tim Bichette comes at it, it's very much like you're just hanging out with like your neighbor or literally your dad. And he's just like, no, there's a lot of money that goes into this. We just want to know the truth. And if it is aliens, absolutely, that's going to fundamentally shift the way that we view the entire planet. There goes every single ounce of trust and also leadership in humanity that exists. But then, so like part of me is almost like, I don't want full disclosure because I know what that means sociologically. Like I know what that means, and that's kind of scary. There's another part of me that's like, I would just like it if someone would admit that, I don't know, I've even had like military friends who are like, oh, we've seen stuff that we shouldn't have probably seen, that shouldn't necessarily exist. And I'm like, and when like the thugs that I know whose job it is to like get the big gun, go and kill the bad guy, doesn't really care about anything else beyond that, says that they've seen stuff, like that's a source I'm willing to trust.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those. I think it's so cool. Like there's so much crossover in these two fields. It's kind of wild. Like,
I know. I try to stay away from the UFO thing a little bit. Like I'm sorry that I drug us into it, but like,
no, I'm here for it. Mike's furious.
The thing we got to be careful with though is if you read about Project Blue Book or Bluebeam, Project Blue and all that, and it's like, or what are we being slow walked into something? I don't know. But,
Well, if like, I just want to explain that to any like listeners as well. So Project Bluebeam is like when you see, I literally talked about this the other day. I can't remember how it came up. But I said to like, my husband was talking about something and I was like, babe, the second something appears in the sky, there's no way I'm going to believe it anymore. So Bluebeam, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is this theory that when the government actually wants to create a one world order, one world government, they will partly stage an invasion, but there's also theories that it will actually, these things will come from the sky that will present as the deity that is most sort of relevant to you, and everyone will sort of fall and collapse to their knees and believe in it, because like you're seeing it, so how could you not believe it? Which, to be honest with you, again, after listening to Tucker last night, because I like to listen to Tucker to get like full spectrum perspective, I would prefer that to like the current plan for civil unrest and like globalization and that whole conspiracy rabbit hole. Would much prefer that they do the alien one. Way easier, way less violent. Like,
it'd be interesting too, right? Like we'd have a front row seat for it. So like, I think it was Jeremy Corbell recently, the UFO guy that does the podcast with George Knapp. He said in 2027, there's going to be some type of lie told and to not believe it. But anyways, I don't mean to get too far into UFOs. I don't know how much time we have, but like, can I talk to you all about Hueyatlaco? The cover up at Hueyatlaco?
Yes, please.
Yes. Let's, I think we got a little bit more time. Do you mind if we close out with this one? That sounds very cool.
Totally. So this is the video that blew up in August for me. I think it has like near 700,000 views on YouTube right now. And it's called The Cover Up at Hueyatlaco. I made a documentary about it 2 years ago that kind of did pretty good back then too. But I remade it to kind of just deep dive, you know, these are the facts, here's the story. And what happened at Hueyatlaco is there was an archaeological dig, and I put some pictures down there. If you want to, if you see the Hueyatlaco hunting is what I have it titled. There was an amateur archaeologist down in Mexico named Juan Armento Camacho back in the 60s that had found this artifact right here. This is the hip bone of a camel, I believe. Could be wrong. Some type of Ice Age animal. Let's just call it the bone of an Ice Age animal. And on it is the depictions of a hunting scene. And this was a big deal because, sorry, Zin's hitting a little strong. This
Bro,
was,
you gotta switch to them notes, man.
I just ordered a new box. I'm out, so the Zins are keeping me.
Did you? I got it right here.
They're awesome. Slow release.
I got one in right now too.
Nice. But this artifact right here was a big deal because they proved that it was carved on green bone, which means that it was carved on freshly killed bone. That had been, and this thing was also fossilized, and that's like at least at minimum 10,000 year process. So this, what you're looking at right here, is at the time was the oldest artwork in the Americas ever known.
Wow.
And spoiler alert for this artifact, we don't know where this is at. It's completely missing. It's gone. At one point, there was maybe a replica or maybe the actual one in the Smithsonian. And
it's where everything goes to die and disappear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason this was controversial is because Graham Hancock will tell you about this. In fact, I believe I found out about Hueyatlaco through Graham's America Before book. I'd love to talk to Graham about this someday because I'm pretty sure he put me on it. This is a big deal because what happened at Hueyatlaco would destroy Clovis first. So this artifact right here, I don't believe it was found in like a super deep layer, but it started enough interest that they decided to go excavate at Hueyatlaco. Now, if you go to my next photo, Hueyatlaco layers, they had an archaeologist out there named Cynthia Irwin Williams, who is an up-and-coming great archaeologist. And she went into the layers of this ash here, the Hueyatlaco ash, which is great because you can date ash. You can get a pretty good, accurate date on ash. There's carbon in it. And underneath it was beds C and E, and then underneath that, beds I, all beds that they found artifacts in. Cool. Now we just got to test the ash, right? Let's see how old these things are. And no one disputes that these were human artifacts. These are clear as day human artifacts. Well, the first test was a carbon dating test, which is not as accurate. It doesn't go back as far. And it was like minimum 22,000 years old. That's a problem back then. These days, not so much a problem. We know that humans have probably been in the Americas for at least 20,000 years. Back then, that's a problem. There's been a lot of textbooks written. There's been a lot of careers made that Clovis first is the way. They came across the Bering Strait through an ice-free corridor. Ooh, like a magic trick. And and maybe that actually happened at one point, but you can't tell me that people weren't coming on boats a long time ago too. Homo sapiens have been around for a while. Michael Button's been talking a lot about this.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to talk to Michael about Hueyatlaco. I think he could help blow this up. So anyways, this all kind of starts getting controversial, and men with guns show up to the site, confiscate the artifacts, and ban the American archaeologists and geologists from being there. And a lot of people in my comments go, good, they took the archaeologists back. You gringos are always trying to take it from us. I'm like, well, you all should ask for them back then because these have been sold on the black market or gone missing or in the dumpster. So then a couple years later go by, in fact, a couple decades later, and we have new dating methods. They have uranium series dating. They have all these new fancy dating methods, and they go, let's go test that ash again. Let's go test it again. Let's see what we can get. And now they're coming back with 150,000, 200,000 years old. A couple more decades go by. Careers are ruined over that. People were mad that they even published that. There's a shout out to Virginia Steen McIntyre. She claims that she got harassed by the mob for this and had her career kind of ruined over this. But then some more people go back. There's an archaeologist named Christopher Hardiker. He's passed away now. He wrote an amazing book on this topic called The First Americans. And they confirm again with even better testing methods that you're looking at a range between 200 and 500,000 years for that Hueyatlaco ash. That's just the ash above the artifacts. And so I went down there. I went down to Mexico and I went to...
Of course you did.
Yeah, in your car with the wrong license plate.
Yes, it was that trip.
Was it really?
Yeah. And,
amazing.
And
you were just like, I've got to go figure this out. Hopped in your ride, drove down there.
I didn't know about it until I was in Mexico reading Graham's book, and I was like, I'm going to Puebla next. And so I drove out with my friend. My Spanish is better now. It wasn't great then. And me and her went and found the site. I used Google Earth to figure it out. And I went and talked to the locals. They remembered Cynthia by name. But long story short, this ash is probably, in fact, I don't even think the skeptics I don't think they dismiss the dating of the ash anymore. Everybody kind of agrees the ash is super old. What they say now is that there's something called an unconformity, that somehow these artifacts, maybe with the riverbed, erosion, magically found themselves beneath the ash. And I have a whole documentary of this on my YouTube where there's other geologists that say, nope, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Whole debate about it. And still to this day, I think it was John Hoops, and I'm not, I'm kind of a little bit over this archaeology, flaming the archaeologists thing, like I think it's probably necessary that we push back, but I'm not trying to flame anybody, but I shouldn't even said him by name, but an archaeologist one time when I was talking about this, linked a Wikipedia page underneath my post saying, if you want the real truth about Hueyatlaco, just read this Wikipedia page. That he was the one that was editing. And I was like, well, does the Wikipedia page talk about the men with guns that showed up and confiscated the artifacts? No, it doesn't. You should probably put that in there if you want it to be accurate. So anyways, if you want the full story, I have the YouTube channel where I tell the full story. And I don't even really tell you what I think. I just tell you what happened. And in my opinion, I think the archaeology was good. The geology was good. And it looks like something, I don't know if it was a Homo sapien, maybe some other, Homo erectus or something similar to it made it to the Americas. And maybe it was a small number of them. People go, well, where are they at in the fossil record? Maybe it was a rogue migration. Maybe a boat got blown away. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But listen, this Hueyatlaco ash has been dated over and over and over again. And the sugar on top with this, and I don't talk about it as much because I'm not as convinced about this, but while I was out there, I also went to go find these footprints in something called the Xena Tuff. And I tried to upload this, but I guess I could share my screen. Let me show you this real quick. You want me to show you these footprints real quick?
Yeah. One of the things I really appreciate about your work is you're always you don't have an agenda. And when you're doing your videos and stuff, what you're sharing is, if you do share your thoughts, you preface it with this is what I think, but you're very committed to whichever way the information takes you, sharing that with your followers.
Yeah.
And not some, kind of forcing an idea.
I appreciate you saying that. In my book, it's called Enigmatic North America, Legends, Oddities, Controversial History. I think that title just automatically makes people think that I believe all this stuff. I tried to debunk a bunch of stuff in this book. Some of it, like Hueyatlaco, you can't. Hueyatlaco's an anomaly. I don't care what anybody says. There's no conclusive, people say, oh, it's been debunked by the unconformity. No, it hasn't. There's not a consensus on it. And I would love for them to go back to that site and excavate it again. Unfortunately, they've covered it with houses now. A lot of it, but there's plenty of area that you could excavate.
So many places like that. And you know what sucks about Central and South America is it's almost anywhere you go and you see a Catholic church, that's an ancient site.
Yeah.
They tore it down and they put a church there and built over it for centuries.
Yep.
And almost anywhere you go where there's an old world style type church, Catholic church, that's an ancient site.
Yeah. Well, they did the same thing all over Britain, Wales, where I'm from. That's what, like you said, it's the winners write history. They also get to rewrite it in real time. I mean, that's what, we just had Columbus Day. It's what, that's what the European settlers did all over the United States as well. That's just what you do when you go. Look at what they do. What happened in the Middle East just in the last 20 years or 25 years of war that we've had there, completely eradicated it. I mean, I think the only reason that Egypt hasn't gone that far, I mean, that's a whole other subject, unto itself, is because that's their greatest tourist attraction, right? So they can't destroy it in the same way throughout history anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were going to share your screen.
No, you're good. I actually am hesitant to share my screen because I don't know if it'll share exactly what I want. So, But if you watch my video, sorry to plug my vid, but like you should go watch my way.
No,
Video. It's I call it the biggest cover up in the history of archaeology. And I had a lot of people take issue with that. A lot of people want that to be the age of the pyramids or the Sphinx. But to me, there's no conclusive evidence that that is an actual cover up. I have my own opinions on Egypt and the Sphinx, and not strong opinions. I'm not an Egyptologist. Like, I like the Americas. I am getting into Egypt though. I'm about to make an AI video on Egypt, but
please come back on once it's like been released. We'll plug it and talk about it all day.
This right here is my original documentary. I got an updated one, but the original one's fun. I took that drone shot right there of Huaytlaco, and to me, it's the biggest cover up because it's a proven cover up. Men with guns showed up and confiscated artifacts and banned everyone from excavating. That's a cover up.
Yeah.
So I had an archaeologist take issue with me calling it a cover up, and I was like, "Oh, what do you call it then? Men with guns stopped the excavation and took all the artifacts, and we don't know where they're at yet. What is a cover up if that's not a cover up, right?" So
yeah.
It's a
big archaeology is always going to pick at the semantics. You know, they're going to focus on our words and call us racist because we're doing their jobs for them, usually better. Like, you guys do their jobs better than they do because you're not beholden to some, you know, funding or some textbook that you've written that defines your entire career, you know.
Now, what's interesting about this, though, is a lot of the discoveries were by big archaeologists. And so you had big archaeology had this like major debate on Huaytlaco. And it's still people don't really talk about it. In the textbooks, it still says, oh, maybe they got here 22,000 years ago with the new footprints they found in New Mexico. And I'm like, what about Huaytlaco? That was minimum 250,000 years if you go by the most recent dating methods. And so, yeah, and you can see here, there's a whole, it's documented. This is why this is my favorite topic when it comes to archaeological cover-ups. This is super documented. They tried to cover it up and it didn't really work, but it kind of did enough to where people just forgot about it, I guess, right? It got swept under the rug, you could say, but there's plenty of information about it out there if you want to go read about it. So,
heck yeah.
And that, for those that are wondering, well, why is this a big deal? It changes everything. If humans have been in the Americas, some type of hominid has been in the Americas for 250,000 years, it nukes everything all over the globe, not just the Americas. It nukes everything. So, and I think that's why Michael Button, he needs to get on Huaytlaco. I want to hear what he has to say. I'd like to see what kind of video he can make about this because he's so good about that. This is up his alley, right? He's big on things are older than we think they are. So Michael Button, if you're listening, this is a call. I want you to do a deep dive on Huaytlaco, my friend.
I need to text him to harass him about some immigration stuff for him. So I'm going to text him in like when it's early time tomorrow back in the UK and be like, so I have a friend I want you to meet. We're going to harass you about some stuff. We think you should get into it. And when we talk about like, I mean, here's like the coolest thing, right? All this proxy data. So proxy data being, you know, lots of different pieces of data that don't paint a whole picture, but when they're put together, they do. All of the proxy data pushing the human timeline back. I mean, for me, like there's just, you can go and watch An Inconvenient Truth. And the first question, I mean, ignore the climate science part of it. I got a degree in that. It's all bollocks. But the first question or the first thing that I sort of took away from it was like, wow, so that would have destroyed everything that was at least across the North American continent, like absolutely wiped it out, cataclysmic, Noah style, Genesis flooding, Gilgamesh, you name it. And we've also obviously got like a lot of proxy data that's adding that up. There'll be a huge topic across the channel, like Younger Dryas, I think is a huge one for all of us. But when we know that that kind of cataclysm is possible, does happen, has happened repeatedly throughout history, not only do we have to look at the destruction caused by man, like you said, you know, anywhere you see a Catholic church, you've got to think, oh my gosh, what was there before that we'll never know from our history? In the same way that every time you see a paved road, really, you have to kind of think the same way. But what has been lost through these cataclysms that we know completely changed the face of the earth, and what fragments do we have left? Like, like I have a very, like, I think I have an associate's degree. I think I got like it was like my lowest score ever in any kind of academic anything I've ever done for geology, because I just could not get the math. But as soon as, you said about the ash layer and like something coming in and like moving that in place, but I was just like, no, that's the absolute rubbish. Like, that's not how that works. I think this is so freaking cool. We've got to get to some like questions and like the super chats and stuff.
I was just saying, like,
one last thing is, so cool.
This topic is blowing up right now in large part because Michael Button is making these engaging, amazing videos on, hey, what about this skull over here that they found that's millions of years old? Or what about this weird tool that's in this? He's had some stuff that I'd never heard about. And so when I was, calling Michael Button out, I'm joking. I've messaged him a few times on Instagram. I love his channel, and I just would love to see him make a video about it because, it's a, in my opinion, it's the lowest hanging fruit for an archaeological cover up, because it is an actual cover up. Men with guns showed up. So
that's amazing. That's so cool. I kind of want to pitch that to AJ as well. Like, it's a wild story that literally, like you said, like, it completely rewrites the human story. Like, conclusively, if true, which, why wouldn't it be?
It makes
like, we know,
And to be fair, let's be fair to the archaeologists real quick. This is an anomaly. There have been other super old sites as well. In fact, there's some pictographs in South America that they think might be hundreds of thousands of years old. When I say they, I mean a couple archaeologists that are studying them. And part of the peer review process, which I do believe in, I'm a big fan of peer review, is that they tear each other apart. Cool, that's awesome. As long as we can do it without being arrogant pricks, like, tear it apart. So I don't want to like poo-poo on the archaeologists too much for, that part's important, but like, way it's locked. And also on that note is what they would say is, well, where's the rest of the 200,000 year old artifacts? And that's a good question. This is an anomaly. But maybe we need to dig deeper. Shout out to Hugh Thomas. This is an archaeologist from Australia that has a YouTube channel called Dig Deeper, and it's a good channel. But maybe we need to dig deeper. So
you could also think about like Occam's razor, right? Like, how do humans behave? And the first thing that came to my mind when the way that you described the actual bone fragment, obviously the fact it was fossilized, that's cool as anything. But you've got someone sitting there drawing pictures on it. That to me is, we've just killed something. We're ripping it apart. We're going to use every single piece of the animal. Here's this one bit of bone that we've got that maybe we're not using for something. I'm going to give it to my kid. What do kids do? They doodle on stuff. So like, all the rest of that animal might have ended up in a completely different place, might have ended up in like the, peripheral trash can, whatever you want to call it. And it just so happened that one piece was what they gave to, some kid to doodle on it. Like, it literally could be that simple. And I find a lot of times scientists, and again, I don't like the weaponization of the peer review process, but again, huge believer in it. When it's done fairly.
It's the best we got.
Exactly. And I think it's a necessary, I don't think it's an evil, but I think it's one of those. I just had a friend that was like held up for like 5 years on a peer review process. So I'm like maybe a bit bitter as well on it, which was crazy. It's a whole other story for another day when we want to get the whole show canceled. It could be as simple as that, right? Like, that was just the one piece that they kept to use for their kids to draw on. Like, that is just normal human behavior to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base here.
Just to be clear, that bone was not it wasn't found under the ash. That might have been 20,000 years old, right? But what's funny about it is, imagine that kid doodling on that bone, having no idea the shitstorm they're about to open up. With this huge controversy. Huehuetlacco is less known about these days. But back then, it was a huge controversy. People lost their jobs, and so,
That's so cool. Will, this is like I can't believe we get to do this for a job. Mike, thank you so much for letting this be my job. This is like the most fun. I feel like I could sit here for another 3 hours and talk about this stuff. Like, this is so freaking cool. Do we have super chats though, and questions? And oh my god, is that too hot? We got so many comments. I was not expecting that for a second episode.
Oh wow, how many people are watching? I should probably stop cussing. I'm just like kind of talking tongue in cheek. Like there's Mike. I think you're muted.
Wait, Mike, you're muted. We can't hear you. He got a fancy new mic. Like
I thought you guys just didn't like me and weren't engaging with me anymore.
I told you in the chat.
We haven't
Mike.
been able to hear you for a minute.
My bad.
You gotta look at our private chat.
So my problem is the back of my mic has a mute button, and when I grab it or move the mic, I touch it and it mutes. I just got this literally last night, so bear with me.
Love it.
Stig jumped in the chat here, and by the way, let me just say this real quick. If you guys are enjoying Will's stuff, which he's just deep dived into so many things, you're going to be able to see him at the conference in December. And Will, you'll be able to connect with Michael Button then, so you guys can link up there and talk all about this stuff.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
But all of that, everything that you've talked, your channel's linked in the description, your book, the conference, so you guys can deep dive into Will, his content, and check his book out. I have his book, and it's amazing, and you can order it on Amazon. The link's in the description as well. Stig jumped in here and earlier about the mummies. Yes, Stig said they look like paper mache.
Hey,
this is Stig.
I've never done anything as dangerous as what Stig has done. I know Stig in the chat right here. Stig went to the Jimmy Corsetti. What's the place called? The
Reshot structure.
You went to the freaking Reshot structure? Oh my gosh.
Stig did. Stig, the guy that did the right here.
That's so incredible.
Like OG was like one of the, I don't know if he was the first, but he went back when it was like trailblazing. Like,
yeah, pretty sure he was the first. I think Archaic Lens has been out there too.
Yeah, shout out to Archaic Lens.
I love the stuff he's dropping right now.
He's been on fire. I love that.
He's been on fire, blown up on Twitter.
Yeah, he's gonna be. Y'all are gonna be the next big things.
Somebody asked, "Who's the magical background voice?"
Sammy.
That's the one and only Sammy.
Oh, yeah.
Say hello, Sammy.
I'm the Jamie for.
Sammy, look that up. So, Sammy, pull that up.
Exactly.
Sammy, pull that up. She's on it.
Can you look that up first, please? I hate when people don't say please to Jamie. It really bothers me when I watch Joe Rogan. It's just like, just say please. He's not gonna hear you.
I won't pull anything up if you don't say please. How about that?
As someone from the Midwest, I agree. I try to say please as much as I can, because
I asked you to do something earlier. Did I say please, Sammy?
I actually don't remember.
Okay, well,
but I will be paying attention from here on out.
I know.
Yeah. Please and thank you goes a long way.
Oh, Dandy Duncan was in the comments here. He said, "Hey, I've been waiting out back for someone to smoke the reefers with me. Like, hurry up, man. We had to finish our stream, bro. I'll be out in a second. I told you."
Well, I'm also looking forward to meeting Dandy Dunker. I've never met him before. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. Y'all are gonna have the best time. I'm so jealous. I can't be there. I'm like half jealous. I'm gonna be like 6 weeks out from giving birth. So that's
we're officially going to be launching one for Sedona in May, I believe, another conference, and so you'll be able to make it there. Sammy is going to be there, and we'll all be able to see each other for the first time.
Be so nice.
Which will be great. That'll be great.
I can't wait. We're gonna have to do a live show. Dan, I love Dan's image, like his photo, like his featured image is just so happy. Jeff, like, look how happy this man is. Let's go on a magic ride. Like, I'm imagining like a dragon's gonna come out. We're gonna get on. We're gonna go for a ride together. And then like you see him like start cussing people out, and it's just like, hell yeah, Dan. Let's go.
I've hung out with Dan after hours, and he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun.
Shout out to Jeff up north too. He's a, I don't know if you've ever seen him on Twitter. Solid follow. Solid follow.
Heck yeah.
Well, Jeff has got one of the coolest new channels if you're into the connections between the Americas and Phoenician mining, stuff like that. He's been diving into a lot of that up there in the UP. I actually got to go up there and visit him and film Q&A wall and do some exploring up there. And he just kept going. And so he's been dropping content up there, exploring mounds and mines and deep diving into all that. So it's always good to see you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I remember Isla Royale National Park in Michigan is where you can find a lot of these copper mines. Interesting topic. All around the time when the Bronze Age was really, it ended up blowing up. Some people think that maybe it's because there was an inflation because there was so much copper coming to Europe. And the fringe theory is that, I don't mean to call it, the word fringe isn't a bad word to me. It's just like, you know, people pushing an idea that hasn't been accepted yet. It's important actually, but the fringe theory is that it came from the Americas. And
I believe it. I absolutely, I think we've just been here so much longer. I don't trust anything that like we're super duper told about our ancient past at this point by those bigger institutions.
Yeah.
You can check Jeff's channel is Jeff Up North.
I made a note. I'm going to go follow you, Jeff. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world. Please keep engaging.
Stig is hooking it up tonight.
Oh, thank you, Stig. I'm going to follow Stig too. Because I need to get better.
Stig has his own channel too. You guys need to go check it out.
Wait, what's Stig's channel? I probably watch it. I'm just like terrible with names. I know all like the dorky content and can like vomit that kind of stuff. I say dork. I say that with like so much love. I call my husband a dork every single day. Because he is one. But Stig.
It's at Stig. So David Stig Hansen.
Okay. Yeah, I know where we're at.
He's got videos out on, like we were talking about, of him exploring the wrist shot. I think he's been out there 3 times, so he's been going hard.
Big OG.
I
think Jimmy referred to him as an intrepid, not intrepid. What's the word? Intrepid's the wrong word, I think. But like,
intrepid explorer.
An intrepid explorer. I think that's what Jimmy called him. It's like, that's true. Like, I love that.
That's so rock and roll. Sedona Connection, thank you so much for the $10. Heck yeah. That's so amazing.
Heck yeah. So that is Robert, I think that's Robert's account. Yeah, I think. Is that? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And another one, like the idea of Roland Michael. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys should do a panel. Sorry, I'm not even gonna be there. I shouldn't be like.
It's funny you say that. We are doing a panel. We're doing a couple panels. We're gonna have everybody on stage hanging out with each other. I think that people want to see that. Is their favorite influencers or content creators hanging out and talking about shit, shooting the shit.
Yeah, the best time of my life.
I want to see that.
Cool.
When I was with Mike in Peru, it was like, I hope it's not the peak of my life, because I hope I have plenty of like more crazy adventures with you and wherever. But like that was one of the best moments of my life. I think, did we do 10 days together, Mike?
It was a lot of fun.
We're gonna reunite in Sedona. We actually seen each other since then. So
we got to do a couple hikes and stuff while you're there. I'm gonna be staying a few extra days, so
I can show you some crazy things in the Sedona.
I would love that, because I'm not as familiar, but I do know, and I've been there. Blythe and Taglios is only a couple hour drive away. If you haven't been,
I've been. I went there.
Oh, you have? Of course you have.
Flew my drone over it. Actually, right next to Blythe and Taglios is another site where they found artifacts that dated to 100,000 years old.
Okay, yeah, we're hanging out.
And Mike, there's still a sign there that kind of says like this is a important site, but it's dilapidated. It's in ruins. They're not taking care of it anymore. It's completely forgotten about. Yeah,
sounds very Taz to Pele.
Sedona Connections, thank you so much for the support tonight. I really appreciate that.
That makes my heart feel so full. Thank you. You really class up the joint with your forbidden when you're on Mr. Collins. Oh heck yeah, that's such a nice compliment.
Thank you. I like going on Forbidden Frontier. Those are my homies, and we're
awesome.
We're pushing another tour here in the next week or two, so everybody kind of keep your eyes out, because probably like a week, 2 weeks, we're launching the next tour. We're going to Egypt next month together. The Forbidden Frontier crew, myself. Over to Egypt. I always love being on there. Will, you've been on there. You need to get back on there.
I haven't been on Forbidden Frontier yet.
Okay. Are you? I thought you had been on there.
Not yet. That's with Gary, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Not yet.
All right. Well, we got to fix that
for sure.
Wait, Stig was detained at the Mauritanian airport. The fourth try and didn't make it.
I remember that. You gotta
come on the show and talk about this.
Yeah.
Stig's an OG, and he's got stories.
Wow.
That is insane. Also, thank you for the support and Sedona Connections. Oh my gosh! Again, thank you so much for the support.
You're gonna have to private message me or Will,
Yeah,
so we can like link up and see some of the cool Outback sites. That's amazing.
and then come on the show and talk about it, because I'm gonna get FOMO, and I never get FOMO because I usually hate leaving my house, and this is like the coolest thing ever that anyone could leave their house for. Blythe
So the Blythe intaglios, for those that don't know, that Stig's talking about here, are these.
Stig is up there.
Yeah, this is these geoglyphs out in the. Technically, it's called the Colorado, where the Colorado Desert meets the Sonora Desert, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think but like I think that's correct, and it's on the California side, and then on the Arizona side of the border, there's actually more. There's the Fisherman intaglio, which shows a guy spearing a fish, and I got a drone shot of that as well.
That's so freaking cool. You guys have the coolest lives. This is awesome. Fun. Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, we gotta. So I'm assuming, Stig, you'll be at the conference. We've definitely got to link up.
I feel quite embarrassed as someone who grew up in Arizona. I have like not been to anything major like this. So, if you feel like bringing me, guys, bring me along.
Not even an option.
My most watched video ever.
I'll have the camera.
My most watched video ever is called "A Dangerous Hike to Ancient Ruins in Arizona" or something like that. And it got it's funny. I made all these documentaries, and then I just upload a video of me and my brother hiking in the desert. It's like 800,000 views, and it's these incredible. There's thousands of cliff dwellings in Arizona, thousands of petroglyphs. Arizona is like a gold mine for history.
You can literally find stuff out there that's never been documented. There's that much stuff out there.
Yep.
America is so freaking cool. I'm so lucky to live here.
America is amazing.
It is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Richard here, I've got your book. I like it. Exclamation geological. Oh, yeah, I agree. It is important to show all sides.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, Richard. And, I'm not a geologist either. So one thing that I try to do in the book is I tried to, especially with that Montana megaliths chapter, I kind of kept my judgment out of it. I talked to Mike, right? Interviewed Mike with it, and went out to the site myself and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing! This is amazing! Whether or not this is natural or man-made, I guarantee you, ancient people have seen this and thought the same thing that I thought. Like, whoa, what is this?" And so I talked to a geologist out there. What's his name? Dr. Parker. And he believed, that it was exhumation for the Tyser dolmen. And then he kind of gave the same explanation for the Montana megalith. And if you ever watch that interview, that's a guy that did it with grace. He didn't poo-poo on our ideas. He didn't poo-poo on my curiosity, because I'm like, dude, what is this? This is crazy. And he just gave me what his genuine professional opinion was. And then he talked to me for an hour about how cool it is that ancients probably thought the same thing, that you can oftentimes go to a place like the Tyser dolmen and find artifacts because people would go there. People would be like, they thought they had the same wonder and awe of the place that we did. Right. So whether or not those places are natural or man-made, in my opinion, they're important, because I guarantee you we're not the first generation of people to be like, how'd that get up there? How'd that big, gigantic boulder get perfectly balanced on that, protruding boulder? It's crazy. So
and just quick note is Sagewall just open sourced all of their research and data, LiDAR, GPR, it's all on their website, sagemountaincenter.org. So you can go there and check it all out. It's a topic I wanted to possibly touch on tonight, but we don't really have enough time to dive deep into that. But we're going to get into it at some point here in the next week or two. And I'm looking to do a video. I've been talking with Chris to get a video out on that pretty soon from my recent trip. I've been going up there every year for like 4 or 5 years. And they're doing it the right way. They're going slow, doing the work. They're self-funded. It's on private property.
Right.
And and you know, they're making all of the information available to the public. So they just released that. If you're a total uber nerd and want to read graphs and charts and get into all of the numbers and data, it's all available right now. You can do a deep dive over on their site for the GPR, LiDAR, and everything.
That's
all
awesome.
Dude, they should do that everywhere. It doesn't even have to
exactly.
It doesn't even have to be
Exactly.
It doesn't even have to be anything more than a Google Drive, an open Google Drive. It doesn't even have to be anything fancy, or even like the first archaeologist that wants to be a cowboy and go do his own thing and start live streaming. You don't even have to live stream. A weekly blog update in the trenches. They're going to blow up. You'll sell 1 million books. So the public, Dr. Gregory Little really pointed this out with
love him.
You know, Sacsayhuaman. Oh, what's his name? What's the Twitter account that was putting footage of Sacsayhuaman? I talked to him. I'm gonna shout him. I'm gonna pull it up right now because I want to shout him out. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but it pointed out how much interest there is in this field. Weird Old World on Twitter. Weird Old World was documenting.
Oh yeah.
Go up and say, hey, this is what they're doing today. It got millions of views. And
there's a huge difference between how Peru is how they're handling excavation in Peru and how they're handling excavation at Göbekli Tepe.
Yes.
It's night and day.
And my thing that bugs me is the smug. Like they'll say, oh well, you know, you can't open source this because you know we need time to
bullshit.
It's like, okay, I get that. I get the idea that you don't want to draw conclusions based on public interest and all that. It's like the court of law, right? But that doesn't mean you can't open source the data.
Yeah.
The data, and this is where like I agree with Jimmy on this, is we have the tools to speed things up these days. You don't have to categorize data with a pen and paper anymore in a filing cabinet. You don't have to do that anymore.
We don't live in that world anymore.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
You can just
they're gonna keep getting shit on until they catch up. And the issue is how they handle it. The attitude from the professionals is crazy to me surrounding stuff, all of the stuff going on at Göbekli Tepe versus when I was just in Guatemala at Tikal, and I was asking on site about they don't have any problem showing you what they're doing. When you go to places in Central South America, they'll talk to you, they'll show you what they're doing.
Totally.
They'll tell you, no, that's a replica, or we rebuilt that, or this is what we're doing over here. Yep. They don't have any problem with it. But when you go over to places where they're trying to, basically what's going on is when you're trying to build a complete financial infrastructure for the country based on that tourism, that's what's going on. And how Egypt operates is basically what Turkey is trying to do with their ancient history.
Yeah. And it's
unfortunately,
like, for me, it's just like you're not going to hurt anything by open sourcing everything. And then from there, shut the door. You don't even have to listen to what we have to say about it. Go do your work, do your peer review process, do it slow, do your analysis slow, but the initial data collection, send it out there. Why not? You know? And
real quick, just shout out to Richard here, because he's been putting in a ton of work up there in Montana and bringing stuff to light and working behind the scenes, getting stuff done. He just recently went on an interview that was great, and talking about stuff. So he's up there doing the work and continuing to dig into all of this information. He sends me emails all the time. I try to keep up with Richard. I'm sorry. I get flooded with emails, but I got a few in my box from you that I'm still trying to, I know they're there and I'm trying to get caught up, but
he's the worst with his emails. Don't take it personally. Don't even get me started. No.
I'm so bad.
Any enthusiasm from the public in regard to all this stuff, anything that gets people outdoors and interested, inspired, is a good thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they. That being said, I do think if we started to open source stuff, I think the archaeologists would be shocked at how many things would be pulled from that would be useful to them.
Yep.
You have a million eyes looking at something. Yeah, maybe a lot of stuff is going to be BS that's being thrown your way, but something's going to stick, right? Like a million eyes is better than one trained eye,
Mhm.
Maybe, and I'm sure some.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of examples of people with no kind of background in anything, and then look at stuff and are like, oh, that's probably for this, and then they're like, oh my god, like, because
Yeah.
you're just coming from a different perspective. And so getting information out there to the public, it doesn't do anything to the archaeological work of the site. Just put it out there and you might get some cool feedback. These guys could literally televise the excavations at Göbekli Tepe
Make $1
and
million.
charge like $1 a month per person, and people would be paying that, and they'd probably be making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
The
they've done their
idea-
research for the next century.
They
Yeah,
just live stream the site and
Yeah.
the work.
It's the scarcity mindset from
Yeah, it's scarcity
pre-internet
mindset.
mind. People used to, me and you have talked about this, Mike. Like
Yeah.
once my footage is out there on the internet, as long as you're not like blatantly ripping off, like, I guess, my narration, dude, use it. Like,
Yeah.
My life gets better when my work gets out there.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. The scarcity mindset of the 80s, 90s, they don't think like that yet. It's all about, well, I need all the information in my realm, in my control, so I can sell the book or whatever it is.
Boomers.
I know.
I'm just
love
kidding.
them.
I know. Look, a big portion of my audience is technically boomers, so I'm sorry, but I mean, it is that mindset.
I love them, and so I just really think that we got to open source as much of this as possible. I'll get off my high horse about it, but
yeah. Well, we got a new member, Eli McKines. I should be saying that properly.
Thank
right?
you so much, Eli. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
This is so lovely.
Yep, V-Bar Ranch. That's a good one. There's another site near V-Bar Ranch that I think you're probably aware of, Sedona Connections, that I would like to take Mike to. So
yeah, I'd love. Let's get up.
So
Dude, we could do a whole group outing thing. This would be fun.
Yeah, get Sedona Connect. I mean, that's a whole series.
Whole
right
Arizona trip.
Whole
Let's do
Arizona
it.
trip.
yeah, the Verde Valley, I think south of Sedona, is amazing. There's amazing archaeology sites out there. So just sitting out there, undisturbed.
There's something special about that desert, though. Like, you don't feel like you're in this timeline when you're out there.
So that's where the vortexes are,
Yeah.
So
Adam
true.
is Forbidden Frontier, has his own channel. I'm actually going to be on his show next week.
Oh, that's
Absolutely. We follow each other on Twitter. He's a good one.
Yeah, I will be. Let me make sure I got it right. Wednesday at 6 p.m. I think that's my time, 6 p.m. because he is in. I think it's Sweden. I think he's in Sweden. So he hits these American hours. So he must be up all night long to hit the American hours of streaming, which is amazing.
Well, I guess in the
he's got a
summer,
new
like they're
kid,
so
too.
far north, it doesn't matter. And then the winter, they're so far north that it also doesn't matter.
Night all the time
Like,
anyway,
yeah.
right?
That's like, I don't know how you live in that kind of cold, but I guess it does work if you want to work on American time.
What an amazing show, Will. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on, dude. It's good to do this again and catch up, but it's going to be better to catch up with you in person in December. I think we've looked for a couple opportunities to connect, and they haven't quite worked out. Dude, we've tried a bunch of stuff over the last 2 years to do. Sage Wall, we tried to do a tour. We had some other plans, Puerto Rico, but we'll definitely seeing each other in December. And thank you for being our first guest.
I'm your first guest.
Mm-hmm.
You're our first guest.
Thank you so much for having me. Anytime you want me back on, I have more topics. In recent light of the T-shaped human face on the T-shaped board, I think it's time we start talking about the symbol of the T in North and South America.
You've done some work on that, yeah.
North and South America, and including a similar anthropomorphic figure that you can find in Chachapoyas, Peru, that has that same T brow, that has a T symbol on its chest near some T-shaped windows. One of my favorite topics. So if you ever want me back on, we can talk about that.
Let's have you back on after the conference on the lead up to Sedona for sure. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, but like one of the things as well that Mike and I kind of agreed when we you know, decided to start working together, me to come on and like write for him, things like that, was all of our friends work in this community. Like we all hang out. Like that's the kind of great thing about it is, you know, we'll sit and we'll do these shows and we'll do our individual work, but then like, you know, like we'll all be texting each other, we'll all be hopping on calls, catching up on life as much as we catch up on the actual work. So anything and everything, let us know what to share, what to push. It doesn't have to just be on the live streams that you're on as well. Like if there's anything like that that you'd like us to cover, if you can come on, if you can't, we'll figure it out to work your content into it. Because like you said, it's not just like open source. Like, I mean, oh my gosh, can you imagine if they LiDAR'd everything and then open source that? I would just be like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Absolutely perfect. But like, we're part of that underground, like archaeological, I guess, community kind of thing, or building it. And yeah, anything we can do to push and promote your work in that regard, you never know what's going to come out of it. So thank you. And thank you for coming on and sharing so much. We got to do a specific UFO show. I'm going to bully you into that, Mike, that we want to do.
I'm so here for that. I second that. Yes! I was here for the UFO stuff.
Do it.
I've avoided the UFO stuff for like the entire time that I've been doing this, but yeah, let's dive into it. Okay.
Yes, it's so easy to bully, Mike. I love this.
You know what? We're having all our speakers on from the conference. Maybe we can get David Hatcher Childress to come on here with us and talk to us, because he'll be speaking at the conference. So
I'd love that.
I predict a very successful live stream show. Just stay persistent with it. You three are going to be dynamite. So keep it up.
Thank you, Will.
That means the world. That's so cool. Thank you.
Oh, the audience agrees. Thank you.
Oh,
dude, really good to catch up with you, man. Thank you so much.
So wonderful to me, Will. Like, this was the most fun. I'm so thrilled that I'm going to get to look back on this as our first time sort of like hanging out kind of thing.
And we got all your stuff in the description. Do you have anything else that you want to plug? Anything? I know you're working on a book. And
book. I'm kind of right now, I'm really just focusing on making good quality content, storytelling. So check out my YouTube channel.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
And, thank you. And then, if you want to throw me a bone, but also have some awesome wall decor, I help sell these maps, Norway maps. That's a national park map. This is South American relief map. They got thousands. So go check out your state maps, see what they got. If you use the link in my bio on any of my social medias, it'll give me credit if you do decide to purchase it. Nice. But that's a 3D relief map right there of all the national parks. And other than that, I got a book, Enigmatic North America, Legends, Oddities, History. Wrote this a couple years ago. And maybe go check out some of my content. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, I just put a note that I'm going to go and buy one of the maps. I'm a geography nerd. That's my thing. And like, I grew up with a big world map right there in my bedroom. So I need to we don't have a nursery because like, I'm not doing any of that kind of like modern stuff.
What
map up and I believe and poster and there you go.
We need the country, and then we definitely are going to need some like North Carolina, and then we just hit like 500 viewers.
I saw this. I was going to say that. No.
But that's super cool. I'll grab a copy of the book too. That's awesome. Congrats on the book. That's a huge feat as well. Like me and Mike talk about this all the time. Writing books is the best worst thing you can ever do. It's like a process.
Oh my God, I'm so glad mine's done.
It is the best feeling in the world when it's off your plate. Yeah.
I can't wait to read it, Mike. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good. All right, man. Well, we're going to have you back on probably after the next conference, and then we'll catch up again. And we'll hear about the T-shaped windows because I know you've done a lot of work on that.
Perfect.
But, thank you.
I know of that.
Yes. Anytime.
All right.
And thank you everyone for tuning in today. Oh my gosh, this was
amazing.
So much fun. Thank you everyone for being here, for the subscribers, for the viewers, for everyone that commented. I'm sorry that we couldn't get to each of your comments. We need to do like a Sunday show where we just go back through like past comments and like answer any questions, and I'll go back, and if there's anything we missed, we'll chuck it into next week's episode. So remember to tune in, and we just love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sammi.
Couldn't do it without you.
Nice.
Absolutely. Good job, guys.
Bye, guys.